Hey, everybody. Welcome back. So, the bracketed showdowns have been around for a little while now. And I've done pretty well in mine. I've won a couple of them, came in second in a couple of them, and I really like them. I've been just super engaged with this particular game mode since it came out. Um, and I figured it would be cool to kind of sit and talk about just Showdown itself and what the brackets mean and how to kind of best approach the game mode. Now, this is the way that I do it, and I'm certainly not a leaderboard kind of player, right? I'm not Duck Homie. I'm not, winning these things back to back to back to back. I think he's a 4-time monthly SmackDown champion. This dude knows what's up. So I would strongly suggest you go find Duck Homie on the official Discord when he talks and ask him a couple of questions if you have want further questions. But this is kind of the way that I look at it, and it's a couple of different areas that I think you kind of have to manage in order to be successful. And I think offense is one of the least important things that you have to manage. And I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but I'll get into that in just a second. The first thing that you need to manage is up here with your batteries, right? So that's not where I wanted to go to. I wanted to go to here. Resets in 1 day and 2 hours. It is now 3 hours after reset when this competition has gone live, um, which means you are going to get 29 refills of this because it takes an hour to recharge this. Okay. So with the initial 12 plus your 29, you're going to get um, 41 different battles. If you win them all, you're going to have a pretty significant amount of notoriety without even having to battle or without even having to buy energy for it. Okay. But you got to use these relatively wisely because if you leave them maxed out, and the hour goes through, you're not getting up to 13 out of 12 or 14 out of 12 or 15 out of 12. You're just losing those potential batteries or energy cans or whatever you want to call them. You're losing those and are not able to spend them. So you're fighting less matches, and the less matches that you fight, the less notoriety that you get. And the brackets are all about notoriety. Okay. So energy can resource, I think, is probably the most important part of the bracketed showdowns. And one thing I like to do is I don't get into showdown as soon as it launches. I will do one showdown battle within the first hour and then let it sit. And the reason for that is notoriety itself. So let's go here. I've done a couple of battles now. So my notoriety is up at 1550. Um, you start at 1,000. Everybody starts at 1,000. And you get bigger notoriety jumps for fighting opponents who have higher notoriety than you do. Um, if everybody starts at 1,000, when you start right at reset, you don't have anybody to fight against that's significantly higher notoriety to earn yourself more notoriety. Does that make sense? Probably not. Hopefully, it'll make sense as I keep going through it. So, running through at the very beginning and, you know, running all 12 of your battles off the jump has not allowed the competition enough time to build up their own notoriety. So, you're going to be facing a bunch of low notoriety opponents, which means every match that you win, you're actually earning less notoriety, making it harder for you to be at the top of the podium when it comes to notoriety. All right. So let's just take a look at my bracket right now. The top is 3559. Top 100 global is 7,100. That's not a lot in the grand scheme of things. generally the people who finish will finish probably in the 14 to 1600 range, maybe even higher than that. Okay. Um, so yeah, I try not to start off quick. All right. And the second reason for that is, and this is something that I haven't quite got to yet, but it has to deal with how notoriety is calculated. So we can see mine is 1649 right here. And we've got 1942, 1772, and 1585. The way notoriety works is that I think it depends. I think I haven't quite figured this out yet. One day I will have it. One day I'll have it. I promise. But each one of these right here is a different league, right? Universal Champion Division, Undisputed Champion Division. I'm currently in the World Champion Division. You face a different range of notoriety, and the amount of notoriety you gain, I think, changes as well. All right. But let's look at the opponent's list again. The hard and fast rule is if you fight somebody with lower notoriety than you earn less. The base amount is 50. So if I found somebody that was 1649 and I fought them, I would get 50 notoriety before all the promoters and stuff like that. It'd just be a straight 50. And then the higher up you go, the more you can gain. And I have seen gains as high as 80, and I think it caps out at 80 in the Universal Champion League. So you want to be able to find somebody that is significantly higher to you, so that you make sure that when you win, you're getting the most that you possibly can here. You may be asking, why do I have Mae Young as my secondary here? And that's a great question. Mae Young's not traditionally what you would think of as a great showdown card. The reason I have her is also notoriety. This is my best promoter. It's the only one that I have maxed out, 250%. So I always run with a technician somewhere. Always. Never fails. And all of my other promoters are 150s. And I'm working on them and I'm slowly building them up. Trying to get them all at 250. But if I'm sitting and I'm thinking about trying to maximize my notoriety from the differences here and here, it makes absolutely no sense to not also think about how to maximize it as far as promoters are concerned as well. So I know that I am going to get at least 50. Oop, come here. 50. Times 4, right? I'm going to get roughly 200 notoriety per. That's not quite right. So that's 50 times 1.5. So I'm going to get 75, and then I'm going to get 50 times 2.5. It's 125. I'm going to get 250. I'm sorry. I'm going to get 250 notoriety per W if I face people of my same notoriety. Does that make sense? So I will often hit this refresh button. I'm not going to here because this is about a 300 difference. And at the league I'm at, it's enough of a difference to go ahead and do that. So I'll run this battle real quick. Yeah. Now, another thing to pay attention to, and I don't quite see talked about a lot, doesn't mean that a lot of people aren't cognizant of this, but I don't see a lot of people talking about it. Yo, there's buffs down here. Use them. Right? Right now I'm getting 50% more all gym damage on showboats, 50% all gym damage on ruthless aggression, and X2 multiplies for Michelle McCool. So like, yeah, I'm going to run Michelle McCool's multiply damage setup. I think it'd be silly not to, right? The game's giving you an advantage. You could either ignore the advantage or lean into the advantage. The cool thing about Michelle McCool's multiply setup is you can run it with just 2 moves, and there's a kickout move with 1 MP with a massive amount of health gain. So like, That's pretty good. I'll take it. And Entourage is actually super easy to run. All you need is 5 black MP, and you'll start loaded turn 1. I will run Sherry to increase the size of my multiply gems, and I'm running a troll coach. All right. The fun part about troll coaches to me is for a long time I wondered to myself, well, why in the world are people so focused on their own defenses that they will run troll coaches just to give other people a hard time? And it and I don't think that's actually the reason why. Maybe some people do that, but look, if I'm running in with a coach that wipes out 1 MP from each of my opponents, I don't have to think as hard. I don't necessarily care if she's running a troll coach if I'm also running one. She's not. So if I don't win turn 1, she's not winning turn 1 because she's not set up to take me out. Right? Using a troll coach is actually useful on offense because you get to be a little bit more flexible on who you face here, and you have a little bit more survivability in case you don't win turn 1. Now maybe you do win turn 1, and that's fine. But Michelle McCool here is going to do a ton of damage. What if you have to use a CSS that isn't going to do a ton of damage, that may be a turn 2 or a turn 3 or a submission move or a submission user, or maybe you need to rely on a stun lock or something like that? Slowing this opponent down is actually really valuable. Does it help on defense? Absolutely. I'm not saying it doesn't. But it also helps on offense. And that's why I've started using troll coaches on offense to give myself a little bit of security, especially since I have all of those buffs down there. That's going to make things better for me. Yeah, man, it's almost a no-brainer. So let's go in. This video isn't for the gameplay, so I'm just going to kind of roll right through it. I realize I didn't talk about the belt setup or the plate setup or anything like that. It's kind of immaterial here. I want to talk about the notoriety. All right. Notoriety gain is 55. That's 5 points better than normal. And I was 300 notoriety lower. And that kind of tracks. The basic rule of thumb that I have, and this is not correct, you can't, set your clock by it, but the basic rule of thumb is every 50 points higher your opponent is, the extra tick in notoriety you're going to get. I don't think I was quite 300. I think I was like 290 lower than my opponent, and that's why I got 55 instead of 60. I might have been 300. Like I said, this is not a hard and fast rule. But just from this 55 here alone, remember we were at 250. And let me move my calculator. I'm sorry about that, guys. Let me move that over there. 250 is the baseline. All right. I actually gained 138 plus 83 plus 55 minus the 250. I gained 26 extra notoriety. And that that's not necessarily a lot, right? It's not a huge difference, but it is 26 over baseline. Multiply that by 10, that's 260 over the baseline. All right. Multiply it by the 41 matches that you're going to play in this showdown. If you don't buy any or run the tour, that's 1,000 notoriety. How many times have you missed getting a higher place in one of these brackets by less than 1,000 notoriety? Probably pretty often, right? I know I've done it. All of my second places have been less than 1,500 points. So that's why I focus very hard on notoriety and always searching for somebody higher than me. The one biggest problem with Showdown now that I have is that it's a resource drain just by clicking refresh. All right, go away. So now I'm 1925. This 1976 is no longer high enough for me to mess with. I really do want to look for about 300 higher than I am, so I'm not going to mess with any of this. I'm actually going to refresh. There we go. I actually ran into one off the jump. That's kind of amazing. But here we go. So I should get another about 275 to, let's call it 285, somewhere in that range from this W here. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to do this. Do it. Just click the button. Make sure they're not running a stun that's loaded turn 1. Make sure they're not running a sub that's loaded turn 1. Check your bonuses. Make sure they're not running a troll coach. You don't have to look too hard. This is really nice, though. And you see this, you know you have probably an instant win. No medals on whatsoever. Just do it. You have to do it. Just look at it. So let's go ahead and run this one real quick. So we talked about notoriety. We talked about energy management. Offense, really take advantage of your buffs when you can. I know there are CSSs that you have to work with, and run troll coaches. There's no reason not to. At the beginning of all of this, I was very anti-troll coach. I thought it was kind of sleazy and slimy until I realized that it helps me out on offense. And if it helps me out on offense, cool. That's that's the way I'm going to run it. And then the last showdown, who I was using for offense was also who I used for defense, and I noticed I got attacked less because people were checking it out and saw that I had troll coaches, and they're like, "No, I'm not going to deal with it." Every time you lose notoriety. Now, it's not as much as you gain. It's, you lose half, or not half, but like anywhere between 30 and 50 notoriety each time you lose. But that's 30 and 50 that you're struggling and scratching and trying to maximize here, right? So run the troll coaches everywhere. There's no reason not to. Do it. As expected, I'm up here at the 285, 286 to be precise. So that's 36 more just by focusing on who had the highest notoriety. And I will click this refresh button up until where it gets to be like 1,000,000 coin per refresh, and I'll still do it. The coin is less expensive to me than the notoriety is. All right. So let's look at defense real quick. So my defense, this is a very specific setup defense. I have Maxine Dupree and Michelle McCool. For a couple of different reasons. One, Michelle McCool is a hot tag character. All right. She has to make it through a turn in order to be able to use the hot tag, but it's there. Okay. So she will help out in situations, specifically in pin situations. I don't want her to come in and use the hot tag move, even though that would be cool on defense. I want her to stop Maxine from getting pinned and count it out. Maxine has 50% health. And she's a showboat, so she already has the highest HP health pool. Other thing that I've got going on is 2 troll coaches, right? And then enough MP to have all of my moves able to be loaded. All right. So we've got a whole bunch of HP here. You could even, if you really wanted to get, she's got moments, receive 50% less damage from all colored gems. Does the other moment help? Receive 50% less damage from all colored gems. So she has 100% gem damage built in just from moments alone, right? So that helps. And if I really wanted to get into it, I'd swap these out to armor medals. The point is to not get attacked. You want somebody to look at your defense and go, wait a second. All right. So Slim here has a hot tag character in position 2. Position 1, he has a showboat with a high HP health pool. It's got an HP buff on it. He's got 2 moments that are going to give him 100% gem defense, and he's running armor, and he's running a sub protect gem setup. that is loaded turn one, maybe I'll find somebody easier to fight. Right? That's the idea. Is you want somebody to look at you and go, you know what? There's got to be smaller fish in the sea to fight here. I don't even want to mess with it. And there's a bunch of different ways to do it. I'm just using Maxine because she has a buff. Um, there are a ton of different cards that you can put in position one. You could have somebody who has a kick out move. You could put Michelle McCool in position one with a kick out move that's ready with 1 MP, right? You could put a stun character here. I do kind of like submission characters in position one. Whatever. Just something annoying. Just put something annoying there. And you know what the annoying characters are. Somebody, how many times have you been looking to fight somebody and you look through here and you're like, nah, I'm not messing with mommy. I don't want to do that. I'll find somebody else. Maybe this mommy. I'll mess with this mommy. That's fine. Not this one. I don't want to deal with that. I'm looking at this Maxine. I'm telling you right now, I don't want to mess with that. It's 500 notoriety higher than where I am right now. So the reward is going to be great. But like, what do I have to deal with here? Right? Extra HP. Actually, no troll coaches. I am dealing with tier 6 metals. Remember, whenever you see 100% all gym, 100% all move, or 60% gym defense, those are tier 6 metals. So you know that you got a bunch of gym defense that you're going to have to mess with. You know what I'm saying? Like, there you go. There's the additional bonus. Do you really want to mess with this? Now that I've looked at it, yeah, I probably will. I probably will grab these easy points. And while I'm talking, I'm probably just going to go ahead and do that. But if you were dealing with a CSS, right? Maybe you're working on getting for this particular showdown event, Bailey is a CSS, and you don't have Zombie Bailey, so you got to use Trap Gym Bailey, Chobo Bailey, who's an absolutely terrible card, and I hate her in every single way, even though Bailey's one of my favorites. Yeah, maybe I don't take Bailey up against Maxine because I know I'm not going to turn one with Showboat Bailey, but I know I need to do the CSS, right? 112 million health. Along the same vein of Maxine getting the health buff, maybe you do use vitality medals. There we go. If that was Michelle McCool over there, or maybe if she had like a rumble plate or something on, or something else triggered there, there's a chance that they would have kicked out. 296, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Maxine's going to be annoying to face this time around. Use your buffs. Set your defense up. Make it annoying. All right. And then the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to strategy and all this, utilize your logs. Very often. So I got double tapped here before I had a chance to set up my defense. I've been hit 3 times before I got a chance to set up my defense. And look, this person was like, easy points. Using Tori. Because I didn't have anything set up. Probably stun turn 1 and away they go. Oh, actually, it's not a bad idea to run if you have an anti-stun strap for your defense. Maybe not a bad idea there. It might not even be a bad idea to create 1 or 2 cards that are purely SD defense cards. I haven't gotten quite that in depth with it yet, but maybe. All right. Revenge. Pay attention to it, especially if you've allowed it to get up there pretty high. Now, in this situation, I'm higher notoriety than Big Dad 88, who is one of my revenge, so I don't have to fight him. But very often, it's an easy way to check. And if somebody is just running right through you, maybe they're an easy target, right? I have found people that are thousands in notoriety higher than me. Thousands. That maxes you out. That gets your flat 50 plus the 30 to get to 80, which is the maximum theoretical, plus you hit all the promoters. Shoot. I mean, now you're talking. That's a way to, climb up the leaderboard fast. Speaking of which, how many battles have I run? And I'm at 2507 already. And I started at like 16? 3, 4? Yeah. So that's kind of how I focus on Showdown, right? Again, I'm not a leaderboard player. So there's probably more in-depth tips and tricks for Showdown that I don't even think about or know about. But really, when it comes to this, and since it is now a competitive game mode and the competition is what, 26, 27 people? Yeah, 26 people. It's worth focusing on the little things. It's worth focusing on the buffs. It's worth focusing on the defensive buffs. It's worth focusing on how your energy comes back to you, right? Right now, for me, is probably not a bad time to go ahead and run all the way and just completely max myself out, because it'll be 12 hours from now when I'm reloaded, which will put me at about 6:30 tomorrow. It might even also be worth waiting until about 10 tonight, run all of it, go through my tour, run it all again, build up a lead here, and then just sit on it until 10 a.m. tomorrow when I'll have another full 12. Right? I know people who will calculate it out to have a full 12 by the last hour of the competition. So they'll go through and completely drain and completely deplete and give themselves 12 hours before the competition ends. So the last hour, the last 30 minutes, they can hit back to back to back to back to back 12 SD wins and try to come out of nowhere with it. And this is just what the game has given us. This is where I'm not even talking about buying energy. This is just what the game has given us. I have seen people who have not bought energy end up with anywhere between 16 and 18,000 notoriety, because they're playing smart. They're using every single battery that they can get their hands on. They're facing the right opponents. Their promoters are maxed. They're focusing on the right promoters, and they're not attacked very often. Okay. Anyway, that's all I've got. If you guys have anything else that specifically you would like to share with the class or me so I can be better at this, put it down in the comment section. I've really been kind of reinvigorated by Showdown lately, and I think I would like to figure out how to get better at this. So if you have anything that I haven't thought of, please let me know. Other than that, if you've learned anything today, if you've been entertained by anything today, or if you just happen to like the sound of my voice, do me a favor, click like, click subscribe, share with your faction mates, maybe talk to your Discord admin, see if my videos can't get added to the bots that pull videos directly into your server. And I'll talk to you next time. Late.